but very importantly, tomorrow tariffs 25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico, and that'll...
Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time.
The U.S. and Canada share the largest bilateral trading relationship in the world. Every single day, billions of dollars worth of goods and services flow across the border. Canada is America's largest trading partner, a vital source of energy and a critical supplier of raw materials. Think about it. Almost a quarter of America's daily oil consumption comes from Canada. That's more than any other country, folks. And it's not just oil. Aluminum, uranium, steel, you name it, Canada provides it. These aren't just commodities, they're the building blocks of the American economy and national security. The two countries are deeply integrated, with supply chains stretching across the border. Millions of American jobs depend on this seamless trade. It's a partnership that has benefited both nations for decades. But in 2025, this vital relationship was thrown into turmoil. President Donald Trump, in a move that shocked economists and allies alike, decided to impose tariffs on Canadian imports.
Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do.
Trump's decision was met with widespread condemnation, with many experts questioning his motives. After all, why would he jeopardize such a crucial economic partnership? Well, to understand this, we need to go back to Trump's initial justification for the tariffs, the opioid crisis, and the flow of fentanyl across the US-Canada border. President Trump has pointed the finger at Canada, claiming they are doing nothing to stop the flow of fentanyl into the US. He paints a picture of a porous border, overrun by drug traffickers, putting American lives at risk. Now, there's no doubt that the opioid crisis is a serious issue, and fentanyl is a dangerous drug, but to blame Canada for this is not only disingenuous, it's just plain wrong. Here's the thing. Less than 1% of fentanyl seized at the US border actually comes from Canada. The vast majority, and I mean the overwhelming majority, comes from Mexico. So, if President Trump is really serious about tackling fentanyl trafficking, wouldn't he be focusing on the southern border? It's almost as if he needs a convenient scapegoat, a way to justify his protectionist trade policies. And what better target than Canada, America's friendly neighbor to the north? But here's the kicker. Even before the tariffs were imposed, Canada had already taken significant steps to combat fentanyl trafficking. They increased border security, cracked down on drug labs, and ramped up cooperation with US law enforcement. In fact, by 2024, Canada had achieved a 97% drop in fentanyl seizures. So much for being soft on drugs, huh? Canada's response to President Trump's tariffs was swift and resolute. They weren't going to take this lying down. They retaliated with tariffs of their own, targeting key American industries. But more importantly, Canada showed the world that they weren't going to be intimidated. They stood up for their interests, they defended their reputation, and they reaffirmed their commitment to fighting the opioid crisis. This wasn't just about dollars and cents. It was about principle. It was about standing up to a bully. Canada's actions resonated with people around the world, many of whom were already fed up with President Trump's aggressive and unpredictable behavior. The international community rallied behind Canada, recognizing the absurdity of President Trump's actions. Section 4. The economic fallout, a self-inflicted wound. Now let's talk about the economic impact of this ongoing trade war. Because, spoiler alert, it isn't pretty, especially not for the United States. See, when you slap tariffs on essential goods like steel, aluminum, and lumber, guess what happens? Prices go up. And when prices go up, who feels the pain? American consumers and businesses. Suddenly that new car is more expensive. That construction project just got pricier. That six-pack of Molson Canadian? You guessed it, more expensive. The tariffs have created uncertainty in the market, disrupted supply chains, and ultimately hurt the very people President Trump claims he is protecting: American workers. The stock market, that barometer of American confidence, has reacted accordingly, with sharp drops following each escalation in the trade war. Businesses, both large and small, are feeling the pinch as their costs soar. President Trump's trade war is, by all accounts, a self-inflicted wound on the American economy. Section 5, Trump's True North annexation by aspiration. So, if the fentanyl excuse was bogus and the tariffs were hurting the U.S. economy, what is President Trump's real motivation? Well, some analysts believe it all boils down to one word: annexation. You see, President Trump has repeatedly referred to Canada as the 51st state. He's even joked about wanting to buy Greenland. Now, you might dismiss this as just Trump being Trump, saying outrageous things to get attention. But what if it's more than that? What if President Trump genuinely believes that Canada would be better off as part of the United States? Think about it. Canada has vast natural resources, a skilled workforce, and a strategic location. From an economic and geopolitical perspective, absorbing Canada would be a huge win for the United States. Now, I'm not saying that President Trump has a detailed plan to annex Canada, but I do think it's possible that he sees the tariffs as a way to weaken Canada's economy, making them more reliant on the U.S. and potentially more open to the idea of joining the Union. Of course, this is all speculation. But given President Trump's track record, can we really put anything past him? One thing's for sure, though. The U.S.-Canada trade war is about more than just trade. It is about power, ambition, and maybe even a little bit of delusion.